here we are. We are on screen right now. Okay, I'm going to start the music and you're going to dance with me. Here we go. Jack G, ready to go. Can you hear it?
I can hear it.
Come on, let's see your dancing.
So you wanna be
Me?
Chair dancing.
I got 4 left feet.
Cool kid. Use 2 of them. Looking real. I wrote this song. My friend Serge singing.
Ooh.
He wrote the music, I wrote the lyrics.
So you wanna be
Here we go.
Nice.
Here's the drum. Bop, 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 bop. Thank you very much to my good friend Serge Hoffman for singing my song, So You Want to Be. I'm Bonnie D. I'm back with a new guest, a cool dude. I think he's my 18th or 19,000th guest. It's Jack G. We'll tell you once his last name is Gold, but he's Jack G to me. Jack, how are you? Welcome.
Thank you, Bonnie. Always great to be here with you.
Thank you. I haven't talked to you in years, except we've been talking for the last 45 minutes, but I haven't talked to you in years. And you kept popping up on my LinkedIn feed. And I said, Jack was on one of my technology shows a couple of years ago. I have to see if he wants to be one of my cool dudes. And you said yes. So, how cool are you feeling today, Jack? All good?
Say no to you, Bonnie.
You're very kind. I appreciate that. I have a little intro. First of all, we're just going to talk about music and life and entertainment and what we do as people. And we're going to get to know a little more about Jack, that those of you who work with him, and he's still very busy in his engineering, his consulting business, you might not know some of these things about Jack. And I will promise you're going to love him even more when you find out what he told me. I get people, it's like true confessions. Yes, it is cool, dude. So, Jack, I have an intro here I would like to read, and I'm dedicating it to you. Okay. And
All right.
let's see if you like this. Is your seatbelt on? Are you ready?
Am I going to be embarrassed?
No, I think you're going to love it. I think you will.
Okay.
So
Go
here we
for it.
go. You know us well, I think, Bonnie D and Jack G too, seasoned in life, and we love what we do. From LinkedIn's halls and socials embrace, we love sharing insights in our savvy people space. Now here on We Dish, excuse me, we're here to play, lightening up life in our uniquely fresh way. Welcoming Jack D. Jack G, a cool dude I'm proud to call my guest. Here's my rhyming intro, then he'll tell us the rest. The story of Jack G, a lifetime of curiosity. When Bonnie D speaks with Jack, she applauds him with glee. Here we go. From Rochester's heart, where cold winds blow, a first-generation American began to grow. Born the second of siblings 3, Jack G's roots held dreams and curiosity. A spark ignited in a friend's domain, ham radio whispered, igniting Jack G's brain. In his basement, he'd tinker and play, building receivers in his own special way. When the great blackout dimmed the land, his parents thought, was this Jack's hand? For always playing with power and light, Jack G's experiments gave them a bit of a fright. As for high school, Jack will only say he did just enough to get on his way. At RIT, through toil and grind, a BSEE degree Jack G did find. Kodak first, where film did flow, a city within a city, so long ago. Then fixing CB radios on the side, while military comms became Jack G's stride. Xerox called Jack, Jack, research bound, copiers and tech all around, a degree completed, nights filled tight with work by day and school by night. Then a blind date set the stage just right, a New Year's Eve that changed his life with light. His friend's romance didn't last, but Jack G's own love story remained steadfast. A growing family, a home to own, side gigs repairing tech alone. Then stomach surgery, weeks at rest, a new job search, a future quest. Florida's heat, not Jack G's game. Humidity's wrath, he wouldn't claim. Instead, to digital he did go, moving north through ice and snow. 2 kids, 2 cats, a dog in tow. Massachusetts was soon the home they would know. But months after they settled in tight, the blizzard of 78 gave them a fright. For 12 great years, Jack G played his part, from semiconductors to procurement art. An MBA earned through digital's grace, while his growing family found more space. Then digital fell, the job was gone. A software dream, but not for long. Consulting stints, a hunt anew, a tech analyst path, Jack came into his view. 2 years most, he thought, but 13 stayed. At Meta, where his mark was made, a VP title, Mobile's Guide, until the Gartner wave arrived. Yet clients called, and so Jack G knew a solo path he would pursue. Since 2005, he's had his say, an industry voice who still leads the way. Now his children have grown and flown with families and stories of their own. And through the years, love has stayed true. Still married, still thriving. Jack G has much to do. What'd you think?
Oh my goodness. I don't know what to say, Bonnie. That was fantastic.
I'm glad. Let me finish the intro. We're here on We Dish, chatting on life's score, culture, music, food, and oh, so much more. Join us live or on demand, day or night. We won't be here, but on demand. That's why we have it. Enjoy our dishing with a shared delight. Meet us for real here in our live streaming glow. We're glowing. We're glowing. Comments are welcome. Just play nice. We know who you are. We know. We Dish, Too Saucy Dame and Cool Dude too. Bonnie D and Jack G, dishing on life's fun. Pour vous. That's a little French. There you go. Jack, welcome. I hope you enjoyed my intro.
It was fantastic. I'm just so impressed. I
Well,
you know, I don't even know what to say. I'm
you sent me
speechless.
the raw data and you sent me the information. I asked my guests is for a chronological bullet bio, first person from early beginnings, influences, school, degrees, jobs, passions, hobbies, family, and you sent me all of that. So I'm grateful to you, and I have to give credit to my sidekick, the wonderful Sylvia Speed. We'll just say that she's my virtual assistant. She helped me process it all, and I went through and cleaned up the rhymes. So I'm glad you enjoyed it, Jack. I'm truly glad. So let's talk a little bit. Do you have a couple of cool dude songs for us to talk about what inspires you, what fuels you? And did I leave out anything in your bio? Is there anything I missed, Jack?
Yeah, sure. There's stuff I didn't want to talk about. No, I'm
Okay.
joking. Those
Be
20
like
years in
that.
jail, no,
Jack.
I'm kidding, of course. There
Any of
was one
those?
actually
Yeah,
that I
go ahead.
forgot to tell you, Bonnie, which is
Yeah,
actually
go ahead.
pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And that was one of my first jobs was working for a company that, and as I mentioned in my bio, a lot of the companies I worked for through no fault of my own went under after a while. But I worked for a company called Stromberg Carlson, and one of the things that I was doing there, by the way, they were an early pioneer in radio. But by
Mm-hmm.
the time I got there, they had been bought out by General Dynamics, which is obviously a big firm. But they were building the original telephone system for Disney World in Orlando. And I was working on some of the components to make that work. So I thought that was kind of pretty cool. I forgot to put that in my bio, but hey, next time you go to Orlando, if you're trying to make a telephone call, somewhere in there, I was helping you do it.
Very, very cool. You have worked for a lot of big companies, and as you said, they went under, but there's been so much change in the business landscape,
Sure.
especially in tech, Jack. Come on. When I was an early programmer on a Xerox Sigma 6 CP5, eventually I think Xerox bought them, and it was Honeywell, and it was called Honeyox after a while, if anybody even remembers that. There have been so many gobble gobble of from bigger
Sure.
companies or little companies say, "Hey, we want to be big." So things have changed over the years. Was there a favorite company? You didn't tell me anything where where you really dug into work where you really said, "Nirvana, this is where I want to be." Any favorites? Can you share that?
Favorites are tough, right? It's like, what's your favorite kid,
Yeah,
right? We all have them, but we won't admit to it.
both. I have
Right.
to say both. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. But honestly, I think I actually liked Metagroup the best because it was really a creative place to be. I mean, digital was a great place to work as well. Learned a lot. Was able to work with really good people. But
Hmm.
Meta, being an analyst was something that I wasn't sure I wanted to do. I didn't think it was for me. I tried for a couple of years because I needed a gig. And then I'd go on and find an engineering job somewhere or marketing or whatever. But, I stayed there for almost 13 years and it was just a great gig. Great group of people, learned a lot, got to interact with a lot of people, including you, Bonnie, if I remember
Hmm.
a few years ago,
Yep.
and so it was a fun time. And I really enjoy what I'm doing now as well. You certainly can't complain. It gets me to talk to a lot of very interesting people. Do analysis is a great gig because I think I have a pretty good handle on what's going on in the marketplace and let people know where they should be going with it. So yeah, it's been overall it's been a pretty good life, pretty good working life. My personal life's been okay too, but working
Yeah.
life's been pretty good.
Well, you are a cool dude on so many levels. I was thinking that as jobs go, it's interesting. You meet so many interesting people along the way, and sometimes the job ends, the company ends, or we decide to move on. And I've had jobs with a lot of companies, but my reflection, Jack, is that if you remember, you may remember somebody named Tennessee Ernie Ford, and he
Oh
had a
yeah,
song, 16 tons, what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. My key is obviously off. St. Peter, don't you call me because I can't go. I owe my soul to the
the
company
company
store.
store. Yep,
Company store. My key is totally off. Sorry about that. But the point is that it used to be you were a company person. You used to be a
right,
company man. Women weren't working that much in these jobs. And you spent your career with one company. And then you
right,
got the gold watch or the retirement or whatever, the party, the whole thing. But today, and I think this is something interesting for young people coming up, is that it's okay. Just don't switch jobs every 10 minutes or every 6 months, but it's okay to keep updating your CV, your resume, your whatever you want to call it, where you move on and improve yourself or stay interested, stay engaged in what you're doing. And I've had work for many, many companies, and you have too. So that's a different way that we weren't brought up that way, were we, Jack?
right,
We were brought up one job, one life, right?
right. Yeah, you work for a company for 20, 30 years, who knows how long. The difference though, Bonnie, is that they took care of you then, right? I mean,
Yes.
I remember, my father was in the union. He worked for until he retired for I don't know how many years, a lot of years. And the company had a pension for him. The union had a pension for him. They had medical benefits. They had all that stuff. You don't really get that anymore. What company, if you go to work for one of these big companies now in tech, okay, thank you for working for us. If you leave, you leave. We'll find somebody else. There are lots of warm bodies on the street. It's just a
Yep.
different philosophy. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it's different.
It's the way the world is moving right now.
Yeah,
There is no your art. We appreciate you, and we're going to stick with you and keep you with us for a long time. It's not
right,
family.
right,
It's not family.
right. No
Let's
guarantees.
No guarantees. There you go. So let's go to your songs. You got some cool dude songs you want to share that inspire you, that define you, that describe you, or that you just like to listen to or sing. Do you play a musical instrument, by the way, Jack?
I have no musical skill at all, other than the finger that touches the play button. That's my musical skill.
Did you know that I'm a drummer? Did you know that I was the
No.
drummer and MC for a 12-piece Motown band when the co-drummer and then the the
Wow.
drummer when I was in Durham, North Carolina, and I've played in open mic nights. I had my own open mic in my community. I produced it two Friday nights a month, and I performed in gigs in clubs, in taverns, on open mic nights in Cary and in Durham for about 4 years. So yeah, I'm trying to start
Wow.
another band here. Nobody wants to do Motown where I am in Tennessee, but I'll find somebody, not to worry. So I do a little blues, a little Latin, it'll happen. It'll happen.
Yeah.
So, Jack,
Yeah.
what kind of
I'm,
music?
I'm, I'm more. I like folk rock. That's
Okay.
kind of my thing. I also like original folk stuff. Pete
Mm-hmm.
Seeger. You know, Dylan is kind of in between these days, but I used to love him. Judy Collins.
Mm-hmm.
Joni Mitchell. I mean, a lot of those folks. That was stuff that I used to listen to a lot. Still listen to it, but not as much. Actually, one of my favorite songs. It's kind of a real sentimental one. Judy Collins is. I don't know if you ever heard the song called "My Father."
I don't remember that one. Do you have a couple lines you could share with us?
Yeah, my
Any?
father always promised me that we would live in France. We'd go
Hmm.
boating on the Seine, and I would learn to dance.
Hmm.
We lived in Ohio then. My father worked the mines. It goes on. I can't remember all the lines, but it's just a beautiful. I'll send it to you. I'll send a copy to you. It's just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful song.
Thank you.
Um, and I always loved Pete Seeger, the Birds. I mean, there's a lot of that kind of stuff. So that's. But I have pretty eclectic tastes. I'm also a big fan of classical music, which I certainly wasn't way back
Mm-hmm.
when. Lately, I've been listening to big band swing
Really? Who
kinds
do
of
you
music.
like?
Yeah.
Who do you like? Basie or who do you like?
Oh, Glenn Miller is good. Benny Goodman. I mean, there's a bunch of them. The the skill level to do that is really, really high. I mean,
Hmm.
not that there isn't in rock, but a lot of rock musicians really kind of just, it was all bass and echo and, all special effects. These guys, when they were playing in a band, had to play in a band. It
Yeah.
was real instruments.
Yep.
I mean, this way, when Gene
Yes.
Krupa played the drums, he played the drums, right?
That's
It
right.
wasn't sound
And
effects.
I didn't want an e-kit where I went to take a
Right,
lesson somewhere and they had an e-kit. I said, "What am I doing? I can't hear anything. I can't feel anything." I
right.
said, "No, this is not how I work. It's going to make noise and that's the way it is." Yeah. Interesting. Do you have a favorite swing song from swing big era bands, Jack? Anything?
Favorite. I don't know if I got a favorite or not. Some of the the Benny Goodman stuff is really good. Did you ever see the movie The Swing Kids years ago?
No, I don't think so.
It's an interesting show, interesting movie where they played a lot of his Benny Goodman stuff. But Take the A Train was a great song.
Yep.
In the Mood, I love In the
Oh,
Mood.
oh, oh, stop me now. Oh, please. And oh my God. I was a dance teacher. Lindy, we used to call it Lindy. Remember Lindy Hop?
Yeah,
It was East Coast swing basically, and disco hustle and Latin dancing. And I remember doing the Lindy to In the Mood was just, oh my God, it was just wonderful.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
There's a lot
good,
of good stuff. So
good stuff.
yeah, one of the things I've learned around music is that until you listen to various kinds of music, you don't really know what you like.
Good point. Good
People
point.
people really kind of get, well, we were growing up, we always listened to the radio, so
Mm-hmm.
when you listen to the radio, you get what they play. But once I started collecting records,
I
real
remember.
records,
I have some.
I still
I
do
still have
too.
the LPs, the big ones, the vinyl, the plastic. Yes, go ahead.
Still have my turntable.
Yeah, me too. Microseki with a cover. I don't have anything to hook it up to, but I still have it. Go ahead.
Oh, I'll send you something to hook it up to.
Okay.
But then that's when you get to decide, well, maybe I'll try this. Let me listen to this, or let me listen to that.
What an interesting perspective. I was introduced to jazz, to Dave Brubeck by a boy I met at summer camp one year while we were hanging out behind a tree after not taps.
Which
After no,
this
anyway,
is
I
not an
remember.
R-rated show. This
No,
is
I
come
remember
on.
which tree. He told me about Dave Brubeck, and I came home after the summer and I bought some Take Five. I loved the off rhythms. I
Right.
was playing classical piano lessons since I was 7, and jazz was just it just mixed it up in your brain, trying to find that 7/8 tempo. And it wasn't anything like Chopin and Schubert and all of
Right.
the classical classics. And then I fell in love with disco years later. But you're right. And recently I was introduced on one of my other radio shows. The guests have to come up with a quote, fictional quote, Jack. And somebody brought me a quote. It's not how you move it, what's moved you. The theme is creativity. And it's by a Christian rock band. And I'm not Christian, but a Christian rock band called Mercy Me. And I watched the video for this song. I absolutely fell in love with it. It was nothing religious about the song, but it's it's in somebody's basement at a wedding. And they're all ages from like 3-year-old up to 70, 80, 90-year olds. And it's a family. And you see the posts, the lolly columns in the basement. And the band they have white shirts on and a bow tie, crisp white shirt and black pants. And they're really cool. And he's singing, and the song is Happy Dance. And he syncopates it so that he'll say in the middle of a lyric, he'll say, Happy Dance. And you just I dance to that in my kitchen sometimes, but he'll find somebody. Of course, they were planted. It's a shell in the back. And he'll say, Hey, you in the corner with the concrete boots, get up and move. And then this man who looks like alfalfa will come up and he'll join them and they'll all start doing this dance. And then the bride is dancing and the little kids are dancing. And then they'll find a woman who's looking like this from the background. Hey, you, come on up and move. And they get her dancing. I'll send you the link to the video of
Yeah,
anyway.
that's great.
My point is I would never in a million years have listened to a Christian rock band. Seriously, I love the song. So you're absolutely right. I have never heard that perspective, Jack G, that you need to expand your horizons or your musical horizons, if you will, to learn to listen to all kinds of music before you know what you really, and maybe you like a little bit of everything. What do you think?
I do. I mean, first time I ever went to New Orleans, right? And you're walking down Bourbon Street. What are you hearing?
Hmm.
Zydeco bands. I'd
Yeah.
never heard Zydeco before.
Yeah, of course.
It's
Why
great
would you?
music.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you really have to expand. I mean, I listen to, I like klezmer bands. I like jazz. I like uh,
Hmm.
just a little bit of everything. Music is a wonderful thing. It really does. It's a great way to set a mood. It's a great way to, I mean, I have music playing in the background when I'm working. Usually
Hmm.
I can't, I have to have classical on where there's no sound, no voice track because voice
Hmm.
just throws me off.
Yep.
But it's just a great way to keep your brain working.
It is. It is. I watch a lot of procedural detective shows with strong women characters. A lot of them are French produced. Excuse me. And some shows have introductory music in the after they give you the plot in the first 30 seconds, the teaser for what's going to happen, who's going to lose their life and who's going to find them and all that. They'll play music. Some of them is so grabs me so much, Jack, that I start to cry because it's sentimental, it's romantic, and this is on a detective show, but the music is so moving and the words are so sentimental that I have
Yep.
to hit skip the intro because
Yep.
I don't want to sit there. But I want to tell you what my songs for Saucy Dame, I have realized that Donna Summer, now I taught disco and I did performances and contests in disco years ago when I was living in Eugene, Oregon. And I realized that the discography from Donna Summer is, in a way, the story of my life the past few years. So I'm just going to throw a couple names of songs out for you and then we'll move on. So she works hard for the money.
Yep.
Hot Stuff, and that was about streetwalkers. Never was, but I've been called hot stuff in my time, maybe today. On the radio, hello, I've got a radio career of what, 25 years. No More Tears, Enough is Enough. I think that was a duet, might have been with Streisand. No More Tears. I've been in my tearful situations. Last Dance, Last Dance, Last Chance for Love. Well, I had a last dance with my partner when I left Eugene and moved back to New York. I Feel Love. I've had that experience many times, and I competed in a Disco Hawaii contest one year in Eugene, and it was the song we selected was from the MacArthur Park Suite, done by Donna Summer. It was like 16 or 18 minutes long, and the song we picked was called Heaven Knows, and it was a wonderful song. So Donna Summer discography are my Saucy Dame songs. So what do you think of that? Cool?
I think that's great. By the way, you mentioned Streisand. Lately I've been getting into more Broadway stuff,
Yeah.
old hits, not so much the new ones.
Yeah.
And some of those songs are just absolutely incredible.
Have you ever heard The Ladies Who Lunch by Streisand from one of the
No.
I don't know whether the play was Little Night Music or I'll find it. The Ladies Who
Okay.
Lunch, it's scathingly sarcastic and it's a wonderfully written song about the ladies who or the girls who lunch. I'll find it and I'll send
Oh,
it
all
to
right.
you.
It's like Bette Midler did one
Oh,
like
oh yeah.
similar to that. So
Oh
anyway,
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
there's a
yeah.
lot of great music out there that
There
people really need to
is.
widen their perspective on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Your creativity superpower. Now you've had businesses, you've been working for people, you're doing your consulting now, your analytics. You must have a superpower that fuels you, that moves you, that lets you go into these different directions. Jack, how would you describe your creativity superpower? And do you love it or not so much?
I don't know that it's necessarily a superpower, but one of the things that drives me is that, I like to fix stuff.
Oh,
I mean, I
okay.
just like to fix stuff. I fix stuff around the house, I work on the car, electrical stuff, plumbing, carpentry, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I found as an analyst is, I mean, I'm not so much fixing the market as I am at least figuring out what's wrong and needs to be fixed.
Oh,
Now, I don't know if that's a superpower or not, but I can see,
might
I
be.
can usually get a pretty good sense of what's wrong and what's right pretty quickly. So, is that a superpower? I hope so. I think it makes me better at my work.
I think that's interesting. Very, very interesting. My superpower is I love talking to people, and I think
Tell.
help people feel comfortable enough where they want to tell me all their secrets. And I talk to people, the wrong people, too often. I'm approached at least 2 times a year by people who want to start a business with me or want to hook me up to engage in something they're doing, and it ends up being not working out, or it ends up being should we just say, a not smart use of my time, and I'm either used for as a freebie and never compensated at any level or appreciated. And I do that too often. So I own a lot of domains, URLs that I buy for these non-working partnerships. And when GoDaddy sends me, "Do you want to renew it?" I say, "Hell no, let it go." So I'm letting one go this coming month. Yeah, enough is enough. So that's my superpower, is I trust people too much. I think that's maybe that's a good thing, but in business, it's not good anymore. So let's move on from that. New Year's resolutions. Do you believe in them? Do you make them? If you make them, do you keep them, or do you just plan your life not related to January 1st? What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, no, I don't. Years ago, I used to do stuff like that. I found that one, you never really keep them because it's not that important. Usually those things are just not that important. It's more important to guide your life.
Hmm.
If I want to lose weight, all right, I'll figure out how to lose weight. If I want to, I don't know, get a new job, then you go get a new job. New Year's resolutions are just, I don't know, it's just makeup on top of your life.
Yeah.
It's not really you.
It's just according to a calendar that we use to impose some structure to
Right,
our lives. That's it.
right,
Yeah, I know.
right.
I know. I think we should do away with birthdays too, but that's besides the point.
I've started counting backwards.
I've deleted about 20 years from mine. I lie a lot. Anyway, all right, 10 years. So let's see. Coffee or tea, brewed or instant, caffeine, decaf, homemade, Starbucks, tea bag, or loose tea leaves. Do you read them? Latte, espresso, cappuccino, pods, quantity, quality, cup or mug. What's your favorite brew or not? What do you love to drink,
Wow.
Jack?
Wow.
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 So I tend to be seasonal and I
Oh,
tend to be time of day.
oh,
So mostly I'm a tea drinker. Green tea, good for you.
nope.
Green tea's
Peppermint.
great.
Peppermint. Okay.
Okay. It's
Okay.
okay. I don't like peppermint. I like spearmint.
Oh, well, they're all mints to me. Spearmint, whatever
Yeah.
I grab on the shelf,
Yeah.
and Earl Grey with bergamot, which is an
Uh,
herb. Oh, I
yeah, I
love
never
it.
liked Earl
I'll have
Grey.
to. I'll
But
have to
okay.
smell it. Go ahead. What? So how do you do
I'll
it?
send you
I'd love it.
I'll send you some tea.
Oh, you're gonna
There's
send
a
me a
Middle
lot.
Eastern tea called Nana tea. I don't know if you've ever had it.
No, I'm waiting for the care package from Jack. No guests have ever offered. We're getting equipment to hook up the microseiki deck now, and we're getting tea, and we're getting music. I can't
You
wait.
know, hey,
Hey,
I can be generous. What can I tell you?
you're very generous. So tell me about this tea. How do you brew it?
Anyway,
Tea bag or leaves or what?
I usually use tea bags just because it's easier. One of the things I found, though, this is kind of a funny story. It was totally by accident. So I like green tea,
Mm-hmm.
and I like real green tea, not the stuff you buy for $1 a box in Walmart, or wherever.
Mm-hmm.
And I found some real Japanese green tea bags, sencha and matcha tea at
Mm-hmm.
Costco.
Okay.
And they got a really good review, and I said, what the heck? Let me try it. Some of the best green tea I've ever had came in that
Really?
tea bag. So I've been
What
drinking a lot of that.
what are there health benefits to green tea? They say there is. Does it
Yeah,
lower your blood
yeah.
pressure or
Well,
cholesterol? What does it do?
I mean,
Purported. Purported.
supposedly, right? Yeah,
Purported. Yeah, right.
antioxidants, a lot of
Okay.
antioxidants.
Okay.
Helps cholesterol. Supposedly helps with things like arthritis and swelling of the body's joints and stuff like that.
Okay.
Who knows?
Ginger helps
Um,
with that too. I put ginger in my morning milkshake
yep,
sometimes. That's
yep.
supposed to help
Ginger's
with
great.
yep.
I use lemon and ginger tea when I'm not feeling well. It works.
Oh,
It's great.
interesting. Interesting.
Um, but I also like coffee, but I like coffee a little different.
How do you do it?
Uh, One of the things that I learned on several trips, but when I've gone to the Middle East, is they drink coffee in a little different way. So they grind it really, really fine.
Mm-hmm.
They put it in a special pot and just not quite boil the water, but boil it 3 times or just under boil it 3 times, and then let the coffee grounds sit to the bottom of the pot, and then you pour it out that way.
Isn't that
And I
Turkish
really
tea?
like
Isn't
it
that
with
Turkish coffee? Isn't that how they do it
Turkish
with the?
coffee.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
No, 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 it's
you
fine.
pinged it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I actually like it with cardamom, which I never tried until I went there.
Really?
It's really good. I like it. I don't know if you'd like it. It's a little maybe acquired taste. But I usually drink coffee in the cold season. I don't like coffee so much when it's summer. I drink tea more because it's lighter.
I can't do caffeine anymore, so
I
you
can't
would
either.
be scraping me off the ceiling. So I have to do decaf. And
Me too.
when I used to go to restaurants a lot when I was in New York, when I was on Long Island, I would tell the waiter if it was dinner, I was out with friends, or a date. That's also a friend. I would tell the waiter, "Listen, I want a decaf cappuccino," and I said, "Here's the deal. You make sure when you bring coffee for everybody at the table that mine is decaf. Or else I'm going to ask you for your phone number. And when it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm bouncing off the walls from the caffeine, I'm calling you. And whoever is near or next to you in the middle of the night is going to say, who is that woman on the phone who's upset with you?" And they would look at me with the fear of God. And when they brought the tray with the coffees, they would make sure there was either a something from the bar, a blue swizzle stick or something, or a special spoon, something to designate that decaf, because I was the only one at the table who wanted decaf. And they said, "Okay, lady, okay, ma'am, here's your decaf, I promise." And so, yeah, I made a lot of friends that way. Not exactly. But when I was in Cancun many, many years ago on a trip to Club Med, Jack, they had, I'll just call it Mexican coffee. I don't know how else to describe it. It was full caffeine. I could drink it then. They had on the breakfast table and on the buffet everywhere. The food was phenomenal, but the coffee was in big pitchers or carafes. I would have like 8 cups a day. I couldn't get enough of it. It was like
Wow.
coffee and cocoa at the same time. And I'm a chocoholic here. And it was wonderful. I've never been able to replicate the flavor of that. It was rich. Drank it dark. No
Hmm.
sugar, no cream, no milk, nothing. Just straight. I couldn't get enough of that coffee. It was marvelous. Those were the days, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Those
I
were the
can't do
days.
caffeine anymore either. Even if I have it in the morning, I'll be up till 4 o'clock in the morning,
Yep.
tossing and turning. I just can't do it. So it's all
Yep.
decaf for me now. But I
Okay.
do take coffee black. I can't do the sugar and the cream
Me
anymore.
too. Me too. I like when you get a good flavor. I don't like that
Yeah.
tangy, almost acidy, tangy taste with
Ah,
coffee that's not good. Afterwards, it leaves a, no, that's not coffee. That's something on, when you squeeze a tea bag, you get
yep.
tannic acid and it gets bitter and weird too. So,
You're not
yeah,
supposed to squeeze tea
no,
bags.
I don't. And I had a guest on one of my shows years ago. I used to do What's in Your Cup Today. Were you on my technology show back in the
Yeah, years
day?
ago. Yeah.
When I asked all my guests what's in your cup today, and people would come who were on regularly would have to come up with a different drink each time. And I had a British gentleman who said, "Oh, you Americans, you just use those dusty old bags in your tea. How could you? That's not even tea." And he said, "The water has to be exactly this temperature, and the thinness of the bone china in the cup has to be exactly this number of millimeters. And you have to steep in the tea ball, the metal tea ball, you have to steep the leaves for a certain number of minutes, and then you take it out, and then you've got the perfect cup of tea." I never forgot. So when I think of tea bags, I think of that dusty old bag you Americans use. I'm sorry.
By the way, I found the trick with the coffee
Yeah.
that you mentioned, that it was kind of bitter and acidic.
Yeah.
Put a pinch of baking soda in your cup.
What?
A
Yes,
little
it'll
pinch of baking soda.
neutralize it. It'll
Yeah.
neutralize it.
And it really doesn't flavor it much. I mean, there's always a little bit of taste, but nothing. And the coffee is so much smoother.
That's bicarb. That's carbonate of soda, right?
Yeah.
Baking soda.
Yeah.
I keep it in the house. I'm
So
I'm gonna
put it.
go. I have some decaf coffee. I'm gonna go grab the either Nespresso or the Keurig. I have both machines. They're in the garage now, in my big garage, which is a warehouse right now. No, I have a shelf with extra appliances. I don't need the rice maker and two coffee makers in the kitchen all the time. And when I get company, I come in. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna make a cup today. Thank you. It's Friday. I don't have anywhere to go. Okay, now, next question, next topic. Movies, TV, genre. We've already talked about your music preferences, but are you into action, fantasy, drama, musicals, romance, mystery, comedy, sci-fi, thriller, war? And do you have any favorite male or female actors or actresses? Jack?
I just like good movies.
What is a
I
good
mean,
movie to you? What does that
well,
mean?
I mean, I like sci-fi, good
Okay.
sci-fi. There's a lot of crap sci-fi.
What's a good
Uh,
sci-fi? Define it.
I
Give me an
but
example.
just well, the example of the bad one first, because this always comes to mind because my family always gives me a hard time. So I'm watching some sci-fi movie, and they're doing something, whatever it is, that is absolutely impossible with physical law.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at it, and I always look at that and say, that's not, you can't do that. That's not possible. My kids would always yell at me when we were growing up, say, Dad, it's a movie. Stop. But it always bothered me.
Me too.
It always bothered me. So
My
so
parents
you
said
know,
that to me when I was little. So why did they do that? Why did they say that? How could that happen? They say it's just a TV show. It's a movie. Stop.
right.
Anyway, go ahead.
Cut
Go
it out.
ahead.
Yeah, cut it out. Lately, by the way, talk about TV shows. I don't know if you remember this from, I think it was in the mid 90s or early 90s. There was a show on TV called Northern Exposure.
Yeah, of course. My kids reintroduced me to that. That was yes. I remember the
And,
names of some of the actors. Go ahead.
and over the holidays, so Amazon now has it on Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've
over
seen
the
it
holidays,
recently.
I binged all 6 seasons. It was like 300 programs. It took me like 3, 4 weeks. It wasn't all
Yeah.
at once. But that was one of the best TV shows I think they ever had. It was just, it was fantastic. So, I mean, I'm all over the place. I mean, I'm a Star Trek fan. I used to love Star Trek, watching
Mm-hmm.
Star Trek. I don't watch a lot of TV series only because I don't have the time to get hooked. So, if you're
Mm-hmm.
watching it every week and you know what's going on, that's fine. But there'll
Yep.
be, I'll watch one and I won't be able to watch it again for 4 weeks. And I'm saying, why am I
Yep.
doing this? So mostly it's a movie thing. But I like all kinds of movies. It really just has to have a decent plot and
Mm-hmm.
decent actors, you know, who are good actors. De Niro, Tom Hanks. I mean, there are a lot of good actors out there. You know, what are some of my really favorite movies? Good Will Hunting was a great movie,
Mm-hmm.
great cast. Um, so I'm fairly eclectic when it comes to movies. It's hard for me to point at one and say this is a fantastic movie.
Well, I recently was shamed into admitting to a family member that I had never seen The West Wing, and this was about 2 months ago, or over the holidays. I binged the 7 seasons of The West Wing in about 3 weekends. So I
Yeah,
know what you did in Northern Exposure, and I fell in love with it. I became a fan of Allison Janney. I also am watching The Agency. I'm watching The Diplomat. I saw Black Doves with Keira Knightley. That was talk about suspend disbelief. There are things that happen in that you would never believe that couldn't
yeah,
possibly humanly happen,
right.
but it was intriguing. Allison Janney is the U.S. vice president in the last episode or two of The Diplomat with Kerry Russell, and Allison Janney shows up in a gray suit looking very almost pruny, and she is the female vice president. And I won't give the drop of what actually happened in that last episode, but that series is picking up. But I mostly watch, as I mentioned before, French detective procedurals with very quirky, strong, unusual female characters. And U.S. TV, American TV has started. There's one called High Potential with Caitlin
Oh
Olsen. She's
yeah,
not one of the Olsen twins. I still haven't figured out, and I've Googled this, why she wears micro mini skirts to work as a consultant. And of course, like Candice Renoir in the French series and the Woman in Tandem and Alice Nevers and Master Crimes, all French wonderful characters who came back to work. They used to be cops and nobody likes them when they're funny. They can see, hear, smell, touch clues that nobody else pays attention to. High Potential is like that, but she's wearing skirts that are just basically
yeah.
an inch past the panty line, and nobody ever says a word. And she's adorable and very smart. There's another one called Wild Cards, which is absolutely wacky. A woman who is raised by two they're thieves, they're master criminals. Her mother and father, she lived all over the world, and she's adorable. She's got big eyes and she wears really nice clothes, not that short, but she is part of her rehabilitation or her uh, getting her back into humanity. I think she was supposed to go to jail. She's assigned to a policeman, it's in California, who had a problem with one of his cases, a detective, and they assigned him to the Marine Patrol. So he has a little cat. It's an emaciated cat with eyes, Jack, that are this big, and the cat looks at you like, and he's stuck on the boat doing marine crime, and they assign her to him, and they together are given the lowest level of cases to solve. And nobody in the police force likes him. And she can see something and she's always impersonating. She'll go up to, let's say somebody was killed in an office, in a business. She'll she sees a scarf sitting on a desk. She sees glasses. She'll put on the glasses, put the scarf around her, and she'll say, "Oh, hi. I'm the consultant who's here for bereavement. Why don't you tell me what the job meant to you and how sad you are about the boss?" And she becomes best friends with the people who were suspects. And she impersonates people everywhere, but she solves the crimes and nobody gives her credit. So that's called Wild Cards. I started that. So anyway,
Nice.
I can't watch movies because I'm alone and I don't want to cry. And most movies make me cry. And I don't do adventures, but I used to love to go to the theater, but now it's just basically at home. So I watch a lot, and people say, "Don't you read books?" No, I watch novels that have been turned into TV shows. And you know something, Jack? These French TV shows I watch, most of them have been on for 10 to 15 seasons.
Wow. Wow.
And they don't drop in the US till years later. So I'm
Right.
starting to watch one called Cassandra. That's her last name with an E instead of an A on the end. It's 90 minutes long. It's from 2015, and I recognize French actors I've seen in other shows that are more recent from 10 years ago. They just started to drop it on US TV on Prime. I can't
Yeah.
understand it. So it's 10 years old, and they're dropping one episode every 2 weeks. It's like, do you want me to watch it or not? Anyway,
Right.
they've had commitments to their shows. How many shows other than Blue Bloods? What, 17 seasons? How many shows do we know that have been around for 15 seasons with the same
Very
lead
few.
cast? So
Very, very few.
European TV has achieved that. And anyway,
Yeah.
that's it for those. Jack, you got some wacky say. Here's how we introduce this segment. Say what? You
Say
got
what?
say what stories for me? Why don't you share one? I'll share one, and we'll go back and forth. How many you got?
Uh, yeah. So here's stuff you don't know.
Okay.
We go out every night, not every night, of course, but we go out sometimes at night and look at the stars and look up at those beautiful sights, right? And everyone says, aren't they gorgeous? What most people don't realize is that the light they're looking at
Mm-hmm.
coming at them is as much as 4,000 years old. You're
What?
not looking at light that was just created. Those
Yeah.
stars are light years, many light years away. So for every light year away that star is, it takes a year for that light to get to your eyes.
Wow. That's unfathomable. We can't even calculate that, right?
I mean, it's amazing. You're looking at 4,000-year-old light, and some of maybe it's 1,000 years old, maybe it's 500 years old, but it's all light that we just think it's being created for us. It's really, really old.
Do you remember Mel Brooks, Thousand-Year-Old Man? Do you remember
Oh
that
yeah,
stick?
oh yeah, of course.
He probably was in the light. Very, very interesting. I'm going to share one. Let me go share my screen here. Screen share. Let me share this one, and I'll do visuals on mine. A Florida museum attempted a paper rocket world record. Can you see my screen there, Jack?
I can.
The Orlando Science Center in Florida, of course, announced it will attempt, this was in November, attempt a Guinness World Record on Saturday for the most people flying paper rockets simultaneously. And that's the visual there. It's going to take place in the facility's Dr. Phillips Cinedome, and they're hoping to get 250 people to set the record. A paper rocket is defined as a toy made entirely of paper that fits onto a straw, Jack. And when the straw is blown through, the rocket flies. Have you ever made a paper rocket with a straw, Jack? I never did.
No.
I've never even heard of it. Members of the public hoping to participate are encouraged to arrive by 10 a.m. Seating is limited to only 300 people, and registration first come, first serve. An official Guinness World Records adjudicator. Jack, that's a job when we get tired of what we're doing now. We're going to go be Guinness adjudicators.
There
We'll
you
be
go.
on hand to witness it. We're focused on creating iconic experiences that ignite curiosity and love for science. Isn't that interesting? And highlighting STEM skills. I can't even imagine there's a straw inside of this darn thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wow.
Wow is right. So I'll stop sharing and let's do your next story and then I'll come back and share some more.
Right. So what's another one? So here's one. We all know Lego bricks, right?
Yeah, of
Legos, right?
course.
So Lego bricks can withstand compression better than concrete. They're stronger than concrete under compression.
What?
An ordinary plastic Lego brick is able to support the weight of 375,000 other bricks before it fails. That's how strong it is. So you could
Three-
stack them
375
theoretically. You could,
Lego bricks or Lego
yeah, the
bricks?
little Legos, the little
Okay.
plastic Lego
How
things,
much do
right?
they weigh? 375,000. What does that weigh?
Well, a lot, right? But
Okay.
theoretically, that would let you build a tower 3.5 kilometers in height before it collapsed. Now you couldn't do it, but in theory. So they're amazingly strong little things, little
Little
suckers,
things.
right?
Thank you for being very PC on that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know what you're
yeah.
going to say.
I mean,
I knew.
it's just amazing, and people have actually tried to construct big things out of Lego sized or Lego bricks styles. Problem is, it's just if you scale them up to the size that they would have to, you have to build a house or whatever, they would just weigh too much. You just couldn't, and it would cost too much. You couldn't afford to do it. But yeah, Legos are just incredibly strong.
That's a
Well,
riot. Do you
and
know
it's
that
not surprising. Look what kids do to them,
sure,
and they still
they're
survive.
they're going to stop making them. They're going to start making them out of sustainable materials starting
I
in
saw that.
2032, and they're not going to charge any more, even though it's going to cost the company a lot more money to do that. I thought that was interesting.
Do you know Lego is one of the most profitable companies on
I
earth?
know. I know. And they came back into popularity a few years ago. You couldn't
Yep.
even get them, right? You couldn't
Yep.
even find them. They were so a few Christmases ago, I think. Maybe it was a few Hanukkahs ago. You couldn't find them. They were so adults are buying them and they're using them
Yep.
for prototypes, right,
Yep.
Jack?
Yep.
Prototypes for projects.
Yep.
Wow. I'm gonna have to
Yep.
go buy me some Legos. There you go. I'm gonna buy me some. I gotta
In
find a service.
fact,
Yeah.
a company just sent me, some swag, right? It
Mm-hmm.
was, and they make solid state drives, storage
Mm-hmm.
systems. Instead of sending me the storage system, they sent me a specialized built kit out of Legos that recreates the drive. So you put it together and it looks like the drive, and it's made out of Legos, custom made Legos.
Not much makes me speechless, Jack. We have to
It
start. We
was,
have to do a whole show called the Lego Show now.
it was strange. It
Oh
was
my
strange.
God. I'm going to share another one. And let's see what I want to
Okay.
do now. Desktop. Let's see which one I want to do. Okay. This is interesting. I thought you'd find this interesting. A Chile team built the region's first 3D printed seed home. Okay. University and a team in Chile has built a huge 3D printed concrete home, they say is Latin America's first such building using a robot printer that pours layers of concrete based on a digital plan controlled by a computer. Are you just shocked about all this, Jack? Interesting?
It's real interesting. I mean, people have been printing stuff forever now.
Yep.
Well, not forever, but for years, right?
For years. It's been around for
But
years. Yes.
being able to do something of that scale is
Yep.
actually pretty impressive.
It's called a seed house. It uses a Atenea UBB printer and a KUKA KR120 industrial robot to create the compact home, pouring layer upon layer of concrete to build the walls in 29 hours. It took 2 days to put it together. It has 7 walls. I'm going to show you another picture. 7 walls made from printed concrete. That's the fascinating part. It covers
Yeah.
30 square meters. Okay. We print these industrialized walls entirely in our lab. And here, take a look. It's called Casa Simila. It's the first 3D printed prototype house made by a Bio University team. Is the rest of the story. Rodrigo Garcia, another member of the manufacturing and construction group at the university, said the technology could help change how construction is done using flexible business building models, even if there's plenty left to be proven about the cost and reliability. The house was put up on land belonging to a private construction company. The concept could, if successful, spur thinking about the construction. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at those walls, Jack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, but think about what it means. Excuse me. If they can get this process relatively quick, you can put a house in a day, a couple of days after
Yeah.
with all these pre-printed walls and roofs. It'd be fantastic.
I think this picture, this bedroom picture is like you
It's
don't
nice.
need a lot of decor.
Yeah,
Look at the walls. They look like printed wallpaper. You remember we used to have the what do they call it? Grass wallpaper that
yeah,
had yeah, I think my mother had that. It had strings of threads and gold
right,
threads, and it was
right.
grass cloth they used to call it. It wasn't real grass, obviously, but look at the texture to this. This is absolutely lovely. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's my second story. I'll have another one to share after you do another one, and my next
Okay.
one is has a lot of parts to it. So you go next.
Okay. That's a warning, huh?
Oh, it's a teaser. Go ahead.
All right. So here's a fact people don't know. Where's the quietest place on Earth?
You tell me.
The quietest place on Earth is Microsoft's I can't say it.
Spell it. Spell it.
Anic,
Spell it.
Anechoic chamber in Redmond.
Okay.
It's at minus 20 decibels. Decibels is a sound level, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so the sounds that we're talking about right now are probably I'm guessing in the 50, 60 decibel range.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a logarithmic scale. So we're talking about thousands of times less. They're built out of heavy concrete and brick and are mounted on springs to stop vibration from getting in through the floor. And they use it for testing systems to make sure that they're quiet. So it's, I don't know. I have no idea what it costs them, but I bet you it costs them a lot.
What would it feel like to be in a room like that? Quiet.
Weird. I've been in anechoic chambers before,
Yeah.
and we're always used to having some kind of sound around us.
Mm-hmm.
If you go into this place where there's no echoes, there's
Yeah.
no background sound,
Is it
even
weird?
wind, you can't even hear wind.
Is it
It
creepy?
really is a very strange feeling to be in those things.
Is it almost like reverse claustrophobia, Jack, where you're in an infinite space where there are no sound cues as to environment or walls or spatial detection? Is that
Um,
possible?
yeah, I mean it just does weird things to your brain because your brain is always hearing something and
Yeah,
processing it. There's
yeah.
nothing to process.
That's what I meant. There are no cues. There are
Right,
no auditory cues
right,
to to define the environment for you.
right. It's like being maybe, it's the equivalent of being in total darkness. I mean, really total darkness, except
And
it's with your ears.
the opposite for me is one day years ago, I was in Atlantic City and there was some kind of an exhibit on the boardwalk where you went into a theater and you sat on rows of, and you looked at a light show down in the middle. But there was a balcony outside this building and it looked out on the ocean. And I went and stood on that balcony. It was a long parapet, if you will, on the outside upper level of this building. And you looked out on the ocean. It was nothing but gray nothingness. There were no boats. There were no buoys. There was nothing.
Yeah,
I couldn't deal with it. It
yeah.
was it was looking into an abyss of nothingness that was water, almost colorless, and it was just the gray sky. The water was reflecting gray. I felt uncomfortable. I went back inside to be sitting in this gallery with all these hundreds of people. I just couldn't. So I imagined that nothingness of auditory. Wow, what was it like for you? Just felt
It's
uncomfortable.
it's yeah, I mean it's just very disorienting. It's
Hmm,
like yeah, it's like there's something missing. I don't know how to describe it exactly, right?
that's it.
There's
That's it.
something missing.
That's it. An absence of.
Right.
An absence becomes something because you're aware of the absence. So that becomes the cue, right? Something
Yeah.
is missing. What is
And your
missing?
brain just says to you, wait a minute, there's something not right here.
Yeah.
There's something missing. I'm not getting, the cues I need to function properly.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's just a really weird feeling.
Thank you. Well, that was a good say what? You always got to say
Say
what?
what?
Used to call it wackiness, but say what? I have another one, and this is, and I think it's interesting. We don't have to go through all of them, but I think you'll like it. This
Okay.
is, have you ever used a zarf? And I'll tell you what a zarf is in a second. Unusual names for everyday things. Okay, this article goes back a year. Human language gives us the ability to name stuff. Okay, learning language, that's fine. Here are 10 common things with uncommon names. Do you know what a vibrace is? Vibrace?
No.
It's whiskers. Mammals have whiskers. This is the whiskers on a cat. You can see in this picture here. It's
Yeah.
called vibrice. Okay. There are
Okay.
super sensors that allow you to perceive or navigate the surroundings. So many cats are named Whiskers. So they say now you can name your cat whatever you want to
Sure.
call it. Now, this is interesting. If you had whiskers, what would they? Well, never mind that. When you pout your lips for a selfie, you're moving the philtrum. That's the space between your nose and your upper lip. Did you know that had a name, Jack? I
I
didn't.
did. That one I
You
knew.
did.
For I don't know why. Don't ask me why I knew it, but I did know that one.
And the length increases with age. I don't believe that for a minute. Aglets, we all know those are shoelaces. So we'll go on past that one. Do you know what the infinity symbol is called? It's a lemniscate. You ever heard of that, Jack?
No.
I didn't think so. It's a technical name. Its brilliance lies in its accuracy. It allows you to transit its curve endlessly. That was very poetically written. Visual representation of exploration. We were talking about limits, right? The infinity of no sound, no visual
Yeah.
cues. Okay, so it's called a lemniscate. There you can make people wonder what you're talking about. A punt, we all know punt is to do something on the spur of the moment or to run towards something. A wine bottle has an indent in the base. You know where if you put your hand on the bottom of a
Right.
wine bottle, it's usually not flat. The good ones aren't. This is called a punt. Higher quality wine has a deeper punt. That's the indentation, the curve in the bottom. If you put your fist under the wine bottle, you'll feel this curve.
See, I
Crapulent
always thought they just put it there because they could give you less wine.
Apparently, yes, skeptics say it's the illusion of more liquid, but a deeper punt indicates higher quality wine. They don't explain it more than that. Crapulence is a funky word. It just means eating or drinking too much. It's discomfort, and we'll just leave that one alone. I should have killed
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Petrichor or petrichor is rain. It's the smell of wet soil after a rainy day.
Oh, interesting.
The scent is called petrichor, and it's produced by bacteria that are in the soil. This is supposed to be soil after the rain. This is rainy soil, I guess. I'll move this up. Interesting. So when people go outside after rain and they say, "I love the smell of the fresh grass and the earth," that's petrichor. Interesting. Now, griffonage. Do you know what that is?
No.
Griffonage is borrowed from the French and it means careless handwriting. So when you
Oh,
say your doctor, you can't read the prescription, that's griffonage. Okay? That's it's not, I wouldn't say careless writing. I would say personalized writing that's like hieroglyphics where you can't have no idea what they were writing. That's griffonage. You can say, "Doctor, stop the griffonage." And they'll say, "You need to have your head examined, Jack." Okay. And here's Zarf. A Zarf is your coffee wouldn't be complete without a Zarf. We talked about coffee. It's the piece of cardboard that they put around the cup that keeps you from burning your hands. That's the Zarf.
okay.
Here's a picture of the Zarf. So you go into Starbucks and you can say, "Be sure to put the Zarf on my cup." Sounds nasty, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then here's one, tintinnabulation. You may know this one. It's the ringing of bells. It's an onomatopoeic word from the Latin tintinare. Click, clap, whisper, tinkle. Tintinare is an imitation of the sound it represents, and they define onomatopoeias are words that have the power to evoke a sensation, an emotion, an image, or a sound. So tintinnabulation would be the ringing of bells. I hear the church bells. It's tintinnabulation time on
Right.
Sunday at noon. There you go. So those
So,
are
so I've
my,
got one for you as well.
yeah,
Short
go
one.
ahead. Yeah.
What's the real name for a hashtag?
Oh, I forget. I saw that recently. What is it? Tell me.
It's called an octothorpe.
No, I didn't see that.
OCTO Thorpe. THORPE.
And where did that come from? What's the
I have no
derivation of
idea.
that?
It sounds Latin, but I have no idea. I
Octothorpe.
just octothorpe. Very
Octothorpe.
strange.
No, octo is eight.
8. Right.
So hashtag is one, two, three. It's four lines that intersect. A
Yeah, but
hashtag
it's
almost looks like a tic-tac-toe board, right?
right. Right.
It's the number sign. So are there eight? Look
Oh,
what Zoom did. We got balloons there. So one, two, how many? There are nine boxes. So why would it be octo? I don't get it.
are there 8 spaces?
We have to,
No, there are
no,
9
there's nine.
spaces.
Nine spaces. Octothorpe. Really? You want to look it up real fast? You want me to look it up real fast?
Um,
I might disturb our go live here if I look.
I
No, I'm
can
going to
look
do
it
it right
up.
now. Octothorpe. I have it. It's a versatile symbol with many names, including hash mark, number sign, pound sign. The octothorpe with an E on the end, has become popularized in hashtags. Why is it called an octothorpe? Most scholars believe the word was invented by workers at the Bell Telephone Labs in 1968, by 68, who needed a word for the symbol on the telephone keyboard. Don McPherson created the word by combining octo and the last name of Thorpe, the Olympic medalist. What's the definite difference? An octothorpe, known as a pound sign or hashtag, is a symbol used in computing. It is formed of two vertical lines and two horizontal lines with an optional overline above the verticals. The use of octothorpe, blah, blah, blah. I,
Uh,
they
Octo.
have not mentioned Y8. It's not mentioned here.
So it
No.
does in the lookup I just did, it said that
Yeah.
the octo part almost certainly refers to the 8 points on the symbol. So where the lines cross.
Okay.
And a
Eight
third
points.
claim is that it derives from an old English word for village. Why, I don't know.
1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not seeing 8 points. I'm seeing 4 points where the lines connect. Eight. There
Well,
must be eight in there somewhere. Okay. One, two,
that's
three.
that's what Merriam-Webster says.
Okay. Well, I skipped that one. Thank you very much. I've never done a live lookup on this show, so there we go. We just made history. Jack, it has been just delightful speaking with you. I am very, very appreciative that you granted me this time with you. I haven't connected you with you in years, and I saw you on LinkedIn, and I said, I got to get back in touch with Jack G. Jack Gold. I think he's a cool dude and he's been hiding from me. So I hope you'll come back on my Technology Revolution show one of these days. We'll find it's a panel of four and we talk about the future of some industry and AI. That's the theme for the past 2 years. So
I'd be happy to. Bonnie, this has been a real pleasure. I'm glad we're
I'm
able to reconnect.
I
It's
am
been
too.
way too long.
It's not going to be that long from now on. Jack, any cool dude words you want for younger cool dudes? Anything you want to give any advice to people? Like you want to grow up to be a cool dude like Jack G. Here's what you got to do. You want to do that?
Advice. My kids never listen to my advice. I don't know. No, look, just you know what? And this is everyone says this, but it's really true. Do what you like. That's the only way. That's the way to be successful. If you're doing something you hate, it's really hard to get successful at it. But if you do something that you like, you get good at it.
Find your passion.
Just get whatever it is. Be a plumber, be a doctor, but get training, get some training, get some expertise, and you'll be fine. You'll
And
really excel.
And I tell people when you see, if you're someplace you're not happy or you're curious about what else there is, if you see a little light coming in the window or the door, and I know that, um, who is the Canadian writer, Leonard Cohen? He wrote something in one of his songs about the light coming through the crack in the door. I say, push the door open, raise the window, find out where the light's coming from,
Yep.
and see if there's something there that will excite you or motivate you. By the way, I grew up very shy, and I can't believe that I've had a career, self-styled career. I don't have a degree in journalism or anything. I'm a programmer from back in the day, and a marketing director, and a writer, and a designer. I have no business being on radio and video, but one day I said I want to talk to smart people, and I started doing it, and haven't stopped. 55, 56 series later and thousands of shows, and I have the privilege of welcoming somebody so interesting. Jack, you are charming, you're delicious, you're just a really cool dude. So thank you. And before I get too mushy and start crying all over the place, don't go away. We'll talk. I'm going to start this song again, and we're going to dance to the outro before we end it. And I'm trying to push the music back. Here we go. Let's start this one. So here we go. Oh, wrong show, wrong song. Here we go. There we go. Okay, can you hear it now? I'm going to bring up the share for the music. Here we go. Here we
There it
go.
goes.
I'm an engineer who's very forgetful. So many buttons to push. You'd be cool. I'd be cool. Thank you, Jack. Delightful.
Thank you.
Here we go for the drum roll. Thank you to Serge Hoffman. Bop, 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 bop. There we go. I'm going to lower that audio. Bye, LinkedIn.